Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound, up and in! 1 point more to go!
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field, back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
Well, everybody, it's game day here at the University of Oregon, and a big game day. Tonight, 7:30 at Arizona, a chance for Oregon men's basketball to take another step in the right direction this season. We're in the Country Financial Studio. I'm Jordan Brenner, hosting Duck Insider today because Joey is getting ready to call the game tonight. Now, before we dive head on into this game, I just wanted to remind you that time is running out for your Oregon football season tickets renewals. Tomorrow is the deadline. More details, goducks.com/FB renewals. Get it done. You're going to want to get it done if you haven't already. Tomorrow's the deadline. An excellent home slate of Oregon football games coming next year. Let's get into this game tonight. 7 o'clock, Joey will have you covered for the pregame show from Tucson. It's a pivotal Pac-12 game. It's a resume-building opportunity. Let's start first by looking at the Pac-12 standings. A lot on the line today if Oregon can get this win against Arizona because spots 2 through 5 in the Pac-12 standings are all clogged together. Arizona is 8-3 in second place, a half game back of UCLA, and Oregon with a win tonight actually leapfrogs in front of Arizona. They'd be tied in the standings, but the first tiebreaker is the head-to-head record. Now, if Oregon drops this game, Arizona will likely have the tiebreaker. They have a better overall record, and you never know how those tiebreakers will come into play down the road, especially in the Pac-12 tournament. This is a huge opportunity for Oregon tonight against Arizona. And doesn't it feel like Oregon's had great success against Arizona in recent seasons? It feels that way because, well, it's actually true. And it's not just January 14th what happened in Eugene for the Ducks against Arizona. 87-68 on January 14th. Yet another Oregon win over a top 10 Arizona team, but that's not all. The command over the Cats has gone back way further. Under Coach Altman, Oregon is 14-9 against Arizona. That's a great number. Oregon improved to 4-1 under Coach Altman against top 10 Arizona teams. So they're beating the best version of Arizona, and this is the most remarkable stat of all of them to me. 8 out of 9 wins against Arizona. Now, Arizona has had this one marked on their calendar. They have won 4 in a row since losing at Matthew Knight Arena. And in that winning streak, they handed UCLA their first conference loss of the season. So they're starting to really turn it on down the stretch. And, well, they know everything I just told you, the Duck dominance over the Wildcats. So adjustments are going to be made in this game, but if you're Oregon, the blueprint has to be the same as it was in mid-January in that 87-68 win. Rebounding. That's where it starts. You have to get it done on the glass. An unbelievable stat from the January 14th win. Arizona came into that game 4th in the country in rebounding margin, and Oregon out-rebounded them by 10, 42-32 on the boards. No accident that Oregon out-rebounds an opponent and they get the job done at the end of the day. It's not like Dana Altman says that every single time there's a microphone in front of his face. defense is going to be a key tonight. Also part of the blueprint in that win against Arizona. You have to have electricity in your hands and feet for all 40 minutes. No accident that Oregon had over 50 deflections in the win against Arizona. They had fewer than 30 in the loss against Stanford. That's another critical stat for tonight. But let's hear from the head coach himself, Dana Altman, meeting with the press earlier this week, previewing a chance for an opportunity, a chance for a marquee win against Arizona tonight.
What's changed with Arizona since you guys have last played them?
Well, they've done the things that have made them successful. You know, they've gotten on the boards and transition offense. And Kreese has hit some threes. You know, in their last game against Washington State, he and Ramsey hit 10 threes between them. So that'll make anything look good. So, no, we're going to have to play really well. They're a talented team. We played really hard. You know, the last time we played against them and played very well. You know, Dante played very well. Jermaine shot it really good. So we played good. And I'm not sure they played poorly. We played really good.
Defense and rebounding are supposed to travel, and you guys beat them on the boards better than anyone this year. Are you confident? You feel like this team now can start to travel with those things with rebounding and defense?
Well, I hope so. We have to prove it. But, you know, beating them 10 on the boards was a big factor. We beat them on second chance points. So, you know, those were two big areas that they usually have a big advantage in. We beat them in transition points, which they don't get beat very often in transition points. So, again, we're going to have to play hopefully as well as we did last time. And at their place, you know, it's always a fun place to play. So I know our guys will look forward to the challenge.
Yeah, given the atmosphere, you could be intimidated by it or you could kind of rise up to it. What's your sense for kind of how your group responds to situations like that?
Oh, heck, I don't know. We'll see. Traditionally, we've played okay. I think over the years we've usually played well in pressure situations. We're usually a little, when the place is dead, we're usually dead. So hopefully our guys will continue that streak, at least on the positive side.
Do you anticipate Quincy staying in the lineup and Dante coming off?
I don't know. We'll figure that out tomorrow, but haven't thought that far ahead yet.
Because of their size, and you matched up pretty well with them last time around with Nate and Dante together. But
we had a lot of different. Nate didn't play that many minutes. He played hard the minutes he was in there, but it wasn't like he played a lot of minutes.
From a coach's perspective, do you think you're a tough scout right now, given the lineup changes that you've gone through and how different your personnel is compared to just even a couple weeks ago?
We're probably a tough scout because they don't know who's going to show up and who's not going to show up. So it might be a tough scout that way, but we've been inconsistent. And so, teams will have to say, well, if they play the way they're capable, they'll be a tough out. And, they've had a couple games where they haven't showed up. So, no, I don't want to be hard on our guys, but the honest truth is we haven't played consistently, which has bothered me. I know it's bothered them. We've talked about it, and hopefully they'll address it.
To that end, talk about three-point shooting. The Utah game notwithstanding, I think one more, you would have been 33% anyway. Last 5 or 6 games, it started to improve. Is there anything mechanically that anybody's doing differently, or is this just that shots are starting to come around? You feel like this is starting to be indicative of what they're capable of? Or?
Well, Keyshawn and Jermaine have hit a few. I think Jermaine's our percentage leader. So, getting those two guys shooting the ball a little bit has helped. We are shooting it a little bit better, and I think those two guys are probably the reason why.
But you don't feel like statistically this is the worst three-point shooting team you've had?
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
On capability-wise, you don't feel that on a capability level.
Well, I think those two guys will make a difference. If Keyshawn keeps shooting it around 40%, that'll bring up our average, Jermaine, and Key's shooting it a little better now that he's got his legs under him. So, hopefully Nate will hit a couple. He's looked good shooting it. And we know Will can shoot it. He's proven that. He's not shooting it well right now. A lot of them have been in and out, but history tells us he's capable of shooting in the 40%. So we just hopefully these last 9 games he gets back to his form.
I know there's certain spots that those inconsistencies really show up, but do you feel like this team is sort of turning the tide overall? Just building up a couple wins?
It goes week to week. Again, I want them to be more consistent. We've practiced more consistent, so that's a good indicator. We had a good day yesterday, focus-wise. Today, we didn't go real long, but the activity and the focus was good. So that usually leads to a little bit better consistency. But we have to prove it. We have to prove it as a team. We have to prove it as a coaching staff that we're going to be consistent. And if you're not going to prove it in February, you about run out of time. So we've got 9 opportunities here in the regular season, and then hopefully a few in the conference tournament. And so we just got to prove it here.
That's Dana Altman previewing tonight's matchup with Arizona. Next player we're going to hear from is Quincy Guerrier, and you talk about consistency. Quincy Guerrier has been delivering a more consistent effort holistically, not just with his shooting percentage, but being active on defense and rebounding. Those are critical components of winning basketball. And then at the same time, he's being more selective with his shot selection, and more shots are going in. He's turning in more consistent figures. Quincy Guerrier talked with the media this week, entering the road trip to the desert.
Presumably it'll be a pretty motivated Arizona team given what you guys did to them last time. Just how exciting an atmosphere do you anticipate it being? How tough a battle do you anticipate it being given the way things played out last time?
I mean, yeah, personally, last year we had a pretty good game against them. I think we lost the game by 3. It was a good fight, but, we just got to play with energy, communicate defensively, and I think we'll be fine with the result. Just bring the same energy we did here at home, and we'll be in pretty good shape.
Coach is obviously looking for that to happen on a consistent basis, and he says you need to prove you can play consistently. Just what's your guys' mindset as a group of players in terms of kind of how consistent you guys can string together good performances?
Compete, play with energy, and we'll like the result. It's just playing with our heart and energy. And like I said, when we play with energy, we play defense and communicate. We have no trouble.
It's been like the last couple of weeks, Quincy, for you in terms of just adjusting to when the shot's not falling and having to adjust the style that you're playing and coming off the bench again. And you're still getting good minutes, but at the same time, it's
it's part of the game. I'm a senior, I understand the game. It's not a big deal for me to coming off the bench. Now it's just when I come on the court, I just want to help my teammates by rebounding. I know I'm a really good rebounder, so I want to bring energy off the bench and when I'm open, make shots, make plays for my teammates, and that's pretty much it.
Do you feel like qualitatively that your three-point shooting selection was better this past weekend?
Oh, yeah, pretty much, yeah. There's probably one bad shot that I took. Actually, no, I don't think so. I think all my shots was pretty good, but I just taking my time and, trying to knock those shots.
It seemed like Coach's message for you too was basically like, hey, don't forget you can score in the post too. Your guy can score at the basket. And you showed the ability to do that in both games. Does that help your three-point shooting as well by just kind of keeping defenses honest?
Yeah, for sure. Just reminding myself, when I played at Syracuse before, I was all inside. So, I was a pretty good scorer inside. So I just got to bring that back with my three-point shooting and, going to the line. And that's just going to keep me in game and give me more confidence when I'm shooting the ball at the three-point line.
The three-point shooting as a team has improved the last 5 or 6 games. But does it matter to you guys individually as a team that three-point shooting is as bad as it's been?
I mean,
this year?
Obviously it's good when we make shots, but I think we just got to focus on defense because when we get stops and we run in transition, that's how our offense get going. And when our offense get going, everyone can make shots. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing right now.
Like Coach mentioned, he obviously wants you guys to be able to, prove it to yourself that you can play consistently and things like that. How important is it for you guys to string together some of these wins to just prove it to yourself that you can compete with these teams?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. You know, we want to be in the tournament, so that's the main goal. Obviously, we want to go to the March Madness, so we just got to keep going. Like I said, our energy is going to be the key for us to win games, and us communicating and playing defense. Like I keep saying, when we play with energy, I don't think nobody can beat us. You know, we've been showing on paper our talent is really off the chain, so we just got to keep going what we're doing right now.
Do you feel like you guys are in a groove right now, winning those 2 games straight?
Oh, for sure, yeah. We definitely go into that trip to, you know, with a mentality to get a road trip, you know, road sweep. So just got to be ready for that.
The marquee game in the conference tonight, Arizona hosting Oregon. Joey has you covered live at 7 for the pregame show, tip at 7:30. Duck fans, be sure to check out the National Signing Day auction. There are incredible items up for bid, including an Ubco 2x2 all-wheel drive electric motorbike, ready for adventure and perfect for the urban commuter who dislikes traffic jams and the weekend adventurer who enjoys the sounds of nature. With a 75-mile range and no need for a motorcycle endorsement, this easy-to-ride bike makes every day adventure easy for everyone. Find out more at ubco.com. Get a break, come back. Chelsea Spencer previewing the women's lacrosse season. That's coming. You're listening to the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear winter, Toyota's got 20 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action, and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/22.
Hey, Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Dear winter, Toyota's got 20 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action, and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/22.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Meet Ed, movie buff, animal lover, safe driver.
5 years of driving an ambulance teaches you a thing or two. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. When I see a car trying to rush past a turning bus, I get concerned. You see, when big vehicles turn right, they have to swing wide to make the turn. And that's a lesson you don't want to learn the hard way. When trucks and buses turn, let's you and I wait.
It's our roads. It's our safety. Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
I've been driving trucks for a long time, and safety is my #1 priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, coming to you live from the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. Oregon women's lacrosse, the season's quickly approaching. Xavier, February 11th, a Saturday at 1 p.m. That's the opener. Chelsea Hoffmann sat down with Joey Mack to preview her squad's upcoming season.
Lacrosse season on the horizon. That means that you had to make the really long walk from your office. Chelsea Hoffmann is here with us, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, thanks for being here. Was it a really long walk today?
Actually, I went the other way. I was
really?
Down the hall, came around, and I was like, I'll just hit Joey Mack on the way to my office. So super long walk.
That's great. Only Graham Abel, as a head coach, has a shorter walk to the studio than you do.
Oh, yeah.
Serious question. How annoying are we down the hall? Are we loud?
No, I don't feel like I've heard you that much this year.
Wow. That's
and I
that's
only
the
know when
total
people
lie.
are coming in and out of the studio when I see them like walk out. And then just with our community, like Matt Ulmer or people that come down the hallway, like Kelly Graves is like just scared me in my office some days.
Good,
so
good,
it's nice
okay.
because you get to see like faces that we don't see this much on the other side of the river.
Good. So there's benefit to being in the wing where you're stuck with us.
Yeah.
So that's nice of you to lie like that. That's very good. Thank you for that. I seriously. So I think I've said this once before. The way that this building was configured, the old team theater for football is actually adjacent to the studio. So this room used to be like the football video room, and then the team would be meeting in there, and you could like run video from in here.
Yeah.
Obviously, times have changed. The HDC's been constructed. That's used as like a general meeting room now. But
so you get to listen to our compliance meetings through that door?
Well, I can. And so then I always am like, wow, if I can hear that, and I know how loud I talk when I'm on the show.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for the people that sit in the back 3 rows. And if there's a meeting between 1 to 2.
Well, we're still kind of hybrid, so we're not all in person. Some of us are on Zoom, so there's probably never people in the back 3 rows.
So that's good. That makes me feel a little bit better because like that door.
I never knew that's what was behind the door. I did realize that this year when I was in a meeting because someone had their daughter. I think it was like their young, like 3 or 4 month old, and they were kind of standing up. But and I was like, well, they could kind of escape out of that door. And then I was like, where does that go? So figured it out.
Welcome.
Didn't realize this was actually for football way back in the day.
It was once upon a time. If you open our secret door behind our mannequin Richard, basically the entire cable system for the building is in that room.
Oh wow, that's a.
So if your
an important door to have.
Yeah, if your cable ever goes out, call us.
All right, we will.
We got you covered. What's been up? Tell fans about the off season.
Yeah, it's been a great off season. We have probably been practicing now for about 2 weeks of 20 hours, and just getting the hang of it, getting back into it. We started in 8 hours when the term restarted. We had a great fall. We had an opportunity to go out east and play at Northwestern. We got to play down in California, so we really got our new group into the swing of things in the fall, but it was an abbreviated fall. We probably had around 6 weeks of true training, and then a couple of travel weekends. So we brought in 7 freshmen and then 4 transfers. So we had a lot of new faces come into the program with graduating a big class last year. Yeah. So it's been great. You know, I think we've focused a lot on our team chemistry, on our systems, and now really starting to get to that point where we're starting to iron out, you know, who's in that top 12 group, you know, who's really contending for those top spots, because we're crazy, but we're, you know, getting close to game day.
Yeah, you're a couple weeks out. You and baseball both open with Xavier, by the way.
I know, I saw that, and then they play Niagara later in the season.
Yeah, they do.
As do we. And I was like, why didn't we get on the same page with maybe,
travel.
You know, those 2 teams could coordinate, you know, so we can help them out a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, every now and then you see overlap on schedules, but it's usually not Xavier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
that was so there's a connection somewhere.
This is Xavier's first year as a women's lacrosse Division I
cool.
sport. So maybe we'll see him more consistently in the future, but I did think that was interesting just given that they're new.
You hit on newcomers, and fans always want to know about newcomers.
Yeah.
Before I ask you about some that have maybe impressed you, I am curious, like, how has the transfer portal and the changing landscape of college athletics impacted the way that you do your job? You mentioned bringing in a few transfers in this group.
Yeah, we typically bring in a couple transfers every season. We haven't really changed our model with our recruitment for freshmen. We typically like to have an 8 to 10 athletes per class, but you know, we've found some really great opportunities with 5th years, and that's what in this group of 4 transfers, we have 2 5th years that have played at 2 prominent programs on the East Coast, and then we were really fortunate to grab 2 transfers that had just competed and won a Division II national championship.
Cool.
So we really, you know, look through the transfer portal, but are just really trying to see, like, what do we need, maybe what's left our roster, or where are the areas that we felt like we didn't have, you know, the stability in last year.
And that experience matters, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you can't I always hear coaches talk about that you can't coach that, right?
Yeah.
Like, the experience is a big deal. How about these newcomers, though? Tell us about them.
Yeah, I don't want to tell anybody too much because
Fair enough.
they're like, I would say, like our secret weapon, I would say right now. They're awesome. You know, we have a lot of athletes from typically like all over the country. So we have some really a lot of freshmen predominantly in our midfield right now that are doing a great job. They've really gotten into the fold. I think it really is a testament to our leadership on our team. They feel really comfortable. They're taking a lot of risks. They're super confident. So I'm just excited to kind of let them loose on our first game and let them kind of get the feel of things. I think they got a lot of experience in the fall, but just being able to get that real game experience now when it matters is going to be really important for them. But have the leadership with our midfield just feeling as though they're complementing the offense and they're really structured on the defense.
February 11th, 1 o'clock, Xavier in Eugene. Is it nice to open your season in Eugene? The first 3 being in Eugene, that might be a record of consistent games at home.
Yeah, that is actually probably a record. And our athletes keep asking, how do we have so many home games? And we wanted to have a really good home crowd and home slate to start, just because we knew we had a lot of new faces and we wanted to get that confidence, but also just be able to represent our state pretty strong.
I love that. I mean, I say that kind of jokingly, but there are certain sports around Oregon that really the road non-conference, it's road non-conference.
Yeah.
So that is nice. That gives you an advantage, I would imagine.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
100%. And everyone has to travel here, right?
Right.
We're the only team in this state that's Division I, so everyone has to travel. I think it gives us a good sense of what it's like for our home games for our Pac-12 season, because we do a bit of travel. And when we go out east in March to go play at the Naval Academy in George Mason, we'll get a good sense of what's the Friday, Sunday feel like. That's our typical Pac-12 season, but also what's a game road game like. So it'll be really good for our young athletes to get that experience under their belt at home and then be able to transition into what's the away slate going to look like.
Yeah, so 3 at home in the month of February to start the season, and then that first weekend of March going to Navy. That's a cool experience, I'd imagine.
Yeah, really cool. And a lot of our athletes are from the East Coast, primarily in the Mid-Atlantic region. So that's always a goal of mine, is to get our seniors back to be able to play in front of their families, just because we are such a predominant East Coast sport. So it'll be fun, and then it's a return trip to George Mason, which is my alma mater, which will be uber weird going back there. It's been a while, so it'll just be fun to kind of have both of those opportunities to play in the Mid-Atlantic.
We'll have you on again, I'm sure, before you make the trip, but I got to be honest with you, I had that one circled as well, we got to talk about this. That will be a little funky, won't it?
It will. Honestly, I haven't been, I guess it's been at least 9 years since I've been back.
Wow.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
Okay.
And they've made that their alumni weekend, ironically. So all of my teammates.
Was it ironically?
No. All of my teammates are coming back, and they're like, we're so excited to see you. And I'm like, you're all going to be in the wrong colors. Luckily, our colors are somewhat similar, so you can't really tell. But it's just funny of okay, let's make it that the game. But it'll be great.
So is there going to be a pregame ceremony that you're going to have to leave the bench to go be
I don't know.
Of?
I hope not. We already had an alumni Zoom, and I was at practice, so I sent them a quick video. But it was a weird I'll see you in March, just because I'm an alum, but don't want to give you guys too many hints on what we're doing out here.
2 parts with Chelsea Hoffmann. Good stuff. More coming. It's the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Jordan Brenner. Joey Mack getting ready for the game tonight against Arizona. Here's part 2 with Oregon women's lacrosse head coach Chelsea Hoffmann.
Talk about some of your returners. You mentioned that you graduated a big class. A lot of leaders in that class from last year. What's the leadership of the team shaping up like?
Yeah, no, we definitely graduated a lot of leaders. I'd say more on the offensive side last season. This year in our leadership, specifically with our captains, Logan Gerke, who's a fifth-year defender, who's been just an all-out great athlete, but also just leader across the board. Lexi Likens, who's a senior defender, and then Morgan McCarthy, who's a midfielder fresh. She's a junior. Was one of our all Pac-12 players last season. So they've been awesome in our leadership on the field, off the field, and they've really helped the underclassmen kind of feel comfortable and come into this group knowing, where we ended last season and what our expectations were for this season, and kind of continuing to hold that standard high while also creating that family environment. So they've been really crucial from the summer to the fall to even the winter to just keep the bar really high so that we've been able to train at the right clip as we get into the deep days of preseason.
About a week and a half until the season begins. How do you ramp up? What's your approach as a coach, as a staff, ramping up toward the season? How do you try to peak right at that first game?
Yeah, so we're really in the infancy stage. We had a lot of offensive and defensive focus throughout the fall. We kind of put in a lot of our sets. Now we're kind of adding the next stages of what we need to be prepared for from a game day situational standpoint. This weekend, this Saturday, we'll do a full field scrimmage in uniform, basically treating it like a game day so that everyone can kind of get their feet under them, know what it feels like, get our PA involved, get our stats involved. So it'll be a good run through. I'm not sure you can always simulate exactly what a game day feels like. So it's been a lot more storytelling, I'd say, from our upperclassmen. We actually watched last week our Colorado game in the Pac-12 play to just show, what we looked like at the end of the season, what the chemistry looked like. You could see it. It was really tangible. So it's more about the storytelling of what's the excitement of game day? What are your routines? Things that we want them to start to think about so they can kind of create that. So it's not so nerve-wracking. It's just something they're doing habitually, and that's a thing we focused on is the process, to create those habits.
It's tough to create a routine, right, when they haven't gone through it. But I love that you say that there should be a little bit of nerves before a game day, right?
I'm nervous before a game day of all right, are they prepared? Did we do everything we need?
Right.
And I think leaning into that of what is going to feel like is going to be really helpful for them, but then to rely back on, okay, how hard have you been training? For some of you, it's been training for your high school careers till your first year, or it's been training for the last 5 seasons. But there's going to be nerves. I think that's that first quarter for us is let it out. Let's see how we're going to play against this team, and then start to reel it in to make sure that we're staying strictly to the game plan.
Heading into the season, I always like to ask too, not just chemistry with the team, but how about chemistry with the staff? Tell us about your staff.
Yeah, they're awesome. So everyone returns this year. Kat Renone on the defensive side. Caitlin Prince is now our associate head coach. Nellie Schaefer is our director of ops. And then we actually just added Lauren Anderson as a volunteer assistant coach. Lauren comes from a wealth of background coaching up in the Lake Oswego high school area with tons of state championships. So it's been fun to just have our group back and around the team. We've really focused on environment and really, having the joy in what we're doing every day. They give us so much joy, but being able, when the time, things start to get tighter and tighter to game day, still enjoying it, getting out there and just kind of relax a little bit more. So the staff's been great. I feel like we're in that grind phase, but also trying to kind of enjoy the process and not just be so focused on, game 1, game 2, because our athletes are young and we want to make sure that they, understand kind of you can be yourself in this space.
What a cool connection too, adding to the staff and from the local community.
Yeah.
How great is that you can pull from a youth coach in this state?
Yeah, huge. honestly, it's huge. There's not many coaches that are as well experienced and well versed as Lauren. I also love that she has like the business side of things, where she was previously at Nike, is now a director of the Warsaw Business School. So it's, I think, giving our athletes an opportunity of like having those conversations about their postgraduate careers, and understanding that there are other ways to coach the game. We're not just doing the same thing over and over again. So it's kind of expanded my perspective as a coach to make sure we're taking into account all the different facets of the game.
That's awesome. I can imagine that I'm going to have a myriad of follow-ups on that in probably like a month.
Okay.
So just bear
Sit
with
tight.
me. Lastly, just overgeneralization. This is what I do. I overgeneralize things. And coaches, it's a lot more complicated than this. Keys to success. What are some of your, pillars of success over the course of the season that you're focused on this year?
I'd say right off, I think we're going to look at this season in like increments, right? Our season right now is going to run from February all the way through the end of May. So looking at it in small increments right now, focusing on our small, like non-conference. So the first 5 games for us being a really goal, just a goal to like look at what are we able to achieve. On the offensive side, we want to have multiple threats. We want to make sure that everyone on our offense is able to be a threat with the ball in their stick or without the ball in their stick. And then defensively, it's about limiting their opportunities. We play all different styles of defense and figuring out which style maybe is going to make an offense have to play a little bit quicker, shut down multiple threats. So we're really looking at it more holistically to make sure, we're not just looking at one stat category, but we're trying to hunker down on, what's the vision of how the offense needs to be executing with all facets, how the defense needs to limit those errors and limit opportunities. And then really it's going to come down to our draw team, who's been awesome. And for those people that don't understand the game yet, the draw is like the, essentially like the tip off of a basketball game. We do it after every single goal. It takes you putting 2 of your sticks back to back, and really controlling the ball to a certain space, because the people that are behind their restraining lines cannot come into that area. So it's a lot of athleticism. It's a lot of understanding, your own hand-eye stick work. So it's been really fun. That's something that we're really focused on, is like that draw group being able to get us more possessions, so that we really have that, driving force to keep the pace of the play, but also the momentum of games.
Sounds so simple.
Yeah, so simple.
It's not. Yeah, it's not. Well, here's to a great season. Thanks for doing a little season preview with us. We'll talk again. We're going to have to do it before you go back to George Mason.
Absolutely. Would love to.
That's just that's an easy thing for me to talk to you about. And,
Yeah.
and then if you hear about anything that's going on, just let us know, and I'll make sure Nellie gets some pictures.
Yeah, of course. Nellie's trying to draw up her best pick and roll plays. Nellie's got no lacrosse experience, but she's working on it. She's really trying to pitch them to me to make sure, but she did get a stick this year.
Good.
She has her own stick. She really wanted her own wand. We have to break it in for her. But she's been working on her stick work. So she ran a 4v4 pre-practice the other day, and it was epic. So
I love this so
we didn't
much.
film it, but I wish we did.
Next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, room for growth, as
Absolutely.
the season moves forward.
Yeah.
Coach Hoffman, thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thanks for having me.
Coach Hoffman previewing Oregon lacrosse's upcoming season opener in a couple weeks against Xavier. Before we go to a break, Coach Matt Ulmer in Oregon volleyball announcing today a new transfer to the flock in Gabby Gonzalez from Ohio State. One of the best outside hitters in the entire country. 1,200 career kills. Helped the Buckeyes reach an Elite Eight last season as well. 6'3", all Big Ten second team last season. And AVCA All-Northeast Region honorable mention. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of momentum for Coach Ulmer's squad. The Ducks have added their second dynamic all-conference level performer in as many months. Welcome to Eugene, Gabby Gonzalez, and can't wait to see you play at Matthew Knight Arena next season. Let's get a break, though. We'll come back. Coach Lanning spoke with Joey yesterday on National Signing Day in the morning before his press conference. A lot of good stuff with the head coach of the Ducks coming on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear winter, Toyota's got 20 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action, and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/22.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Dear winter, Toyota's got 20 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action, and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/22.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Ready for our little forest adventure?
Yes! So much waiting for me. Yeah, I wanna go outside. I wanna be.
We're here.
Whoa, that was fast.
There's a forest closer than you think. Find a park or forest near you and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by USDA Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You're not too cool for me. And in return, I reciprocate that sentiment. I'll never be too cool for you. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. Please let it be noted that I told my job they can dock my pay. Right now, it's just too important to take you to school every day. I want to be legendary for you. I want you to puff out your chest when you go to school, the same way I do. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. Jordan Brenner inside the Country Financial Studio. Before we get to Dan Lanning and National Signing Day talk, let's talk about a couple things worth talking about. Oregon men's golf finished the Southwestern Invitational yesterday, and they were led by senior Owen Averett, who's on some type of tear this season. Congratulations. His fourth top 10 finish in 5 tournaments this year. The senior with an electric 3 under 69 in the final round of the Invitational helped lead Oregon to a 4th place finish in the first event of the spring. Here's a crazy statistic. Averett was the only player in the field yesterday without a bogey. And after 14 straight pars, he turned on the jets, eagled the par 5 15th, and then closed his round strong with a birdie on 18. Owen Averett, somebody to really look out for as Oregon makes a push in the spring season. Congratulations on that great performance. And this morning, another piece of New York Liberty news. Unbelievable what they're doing, building a super team around Sabrina Ionescu in New York City. One of the best passers in WNBA history, Courtney Vandersloot, is joining the likes of Sabrina Ionescu, Brianna Stewart, and Jonquel Jones. She announced that on her Twitter today. Her resume, former number 3 overall pick, one of the top point guards in WNBA history in assists, led the league in assists 6 times in her 12 seasons in Chicago. Welcome to New York. There's a great picture, if you're watching with us, of KG, Vandersloot, and Sabrina Ionescu. All right, let's go to the head coach of the Ducks, Dan Lanning, speaking with Joey early in the morning on National Signing Day before Oregon added one more big recruit. So that's the piece of news that won't be featured in this conversation, but the Ducks really finished strong. Here's Dan Lanning.
And the first question that I have for you is, how are you? And welcome back.
Good to be back, man.
How
Good
are
to be back. Things are great. Yeah, things
nice
are great.
Sweatshirt, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. I've been working on my drip ever since I got here to Oregon, and it's much improved.
Who advises you on such things?
My wife. Yeah, I think, if it's bad, that you guys can start blaming her. No. We have the best equipment manager in the nation. Let me start with that. Yeah. Kenny Farr is the absolute best in the nation. There is no comparison, and he keeps me fresh, right? Yeah. He keeps me fresh, so appreciate that.
I say that the Ducks of a Feather sweatshirt is great. I mean, I do want to talk with you, actually, Coach, before we even go any further about just how big of a deal the support for the program is from various NIL initiatives, various things that have gone on around the program. Just how has that impacted everything that you all do? I mean, Coach, I don't know if you were ever on a trading card, but like We've got trading cards now for
How
all
about
these
that?
guys.
That's pretty cool. I need a pack of those.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, here, open one up.
You got one?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you go ahead. Do what you need to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's huge, right? In the landscape of college football today, you can sit here and say, I don't know, what do I want? The reality is the teams that do it the best are the teams that are going to be successful, and we're fortunate enough here at Oregon. Oregon's always been about innovation, always been about an aggressive approach and finding ways to get better. And one of the key pieces right now, one of the key ingredients is to having a strong, group, whether that's Division Street or the other support that's outside. For us, I think it's really, really important.
How's it impacted not just the roster currently, but conversations with recruits? I mean, it's signing day, so I got to ask you a little bit about how all this stuff goes.
Yeah, I it's never really the first question, usually not the second, but the fact that we have that support and that we have the ability to do a great job of, taking care of our players, and there's opportunities created for them. I think that's something that sticks out to every player that comes in our program.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the class, and then I have, as you can imagine, multiple follow-ups. But I promise that I'm going to get you out of here in 12 minutes. I've got a timer because I know you've got a lot going on today. What is the schedule today? First of all,
believe it or not, for us, we came in here, we started watching football when we got here this morning. I think a lot of places across the country, they take this day and they start eating donuts and drinking coffee and they hang out all day. The reality is we're not looking to sign 15 more players or 20 more players today. The majority of our class is really in place. Certainly some opportunities for some excitement here, later on in the day. But for us, it's a chance to work. Our guys have a recovery stretch here that they're about to hit in a little bit. We're going to check in with them. But we've been watching self-scout. We're trying to find ways that we can get better as a football program this morning for us.
Stay tuned at Coach Dan Lanning to see any duck emojis, right?
Fair.
Yeah, that's where we're at for the rest of the day. Tell us about the class, though. Do you feel like you got what you needed in the early signing period and then maybe adding some pieces later?
Yeah, I think I'm really excited about the group that we have coming in. You talk about building a foundation of a program, and I think that you have to start at the bottom. And there's a lot of programs right now in the nation that I don't think are going to build their roster from the ground up. And when I say that, I mean going to sign high school players. Like high school talent's always going to be a really big piece of our growth here. I think that's important, but you do have to be able to use the portal to supplement some of your roster as well. And I think we've done a good job of balancing both. But we have a lot of newcomers coming in. I think we're over 39 new pieces to the puzzle for us. So, it's exciting for me. We wanted to get some girth up front on the defensive line. We wanted to, really impact some of our skill positions and improve, across the board there. But I love the talent that we have on our roster, and I love what we've done this signing day, this off season to improve and enhance our roster as well.
With the change in college football in the landscape with the transfer portal, do you as a coach from like a roster management standpoint think about signing classes now just as freshmen, or is it the whole group? How do you do that?
Yeah, roster management's big picture, right? It's big picture. It's not just freshmen. I think there's kind of percentage marks that we want to hit and pieces to our roster that we want to make sure, that you have a balance of both. But that's not, that's certainly not the only piece.
Yeah. How do you attack the transfer portal? What is the strategy?
Well, it starts with character.
Yeah.
Right. We want to bring good people into our program. I think, talent, usually film speaks for itself there. But we're Oregon. I think we can go get the best and the brightest. But you look at all the pieces that we added to our team last year, the guys that came in from other programs, and every one of them made us better. But more importantly, every one of them, they were great people. Right, so if we're able to bring quality individuals into our program with the resources that are here at Oregon, with the team support that we have around us, I think that's a way for us to get better.
This sounds maybe obvious, but like the hit rate on players that you bring into the program, how big of a deal is that?
You used to saying like junior college recruiting. Right, and this is a little different than that, but you'd say, hey, if you were batting 50-50, then you're really, really excited, right? And that's not the case in the portal.
Yeah.
You can't bat 50-50. We have to do a better job than that, and it doesn't mean that every single person is going to come in here and be an immediate starter. I think you have to earn that. But I do think that you want to make sure that you're signing players that, again, enhance your team, and there's not really room, in my opinion, for misses there. You want to make sure you're signing guys that can make you better.
All right, I do want to ask you about the guys that were just in here before you. We introduced the fans to some new assistant coaches. Let's start with Coach Chris Hampton, co-defensive coordinator, safeties. Tell us about him. What'd you like?
Yeah, maybe the most exciting piece for me, Chris, and I've known Chris from afar. We've known each other for a while now, but he is a lifelong learner. And I'm always an advocate for coaches that look for opportunities to improve, grow, and enhance. And he's a guy that I've kind of talked ball with in the off season, running some similar circles when it comes to defensive philosophy. You watch how well his defense played this past year at Tulane and how he's grown as a coach. And again, it goes back to hiring good people. He's a great person that I think is going to really be a great teammate to our coaching staff. So extremely excited about. I think he's a young star in this profession. The ceiling for him is really, really high, whether it be from his intelligence, his ability to relate to players, and just the kind of teammate he'll be joining our program.
How about offensive coordinator Will Stein? Same question.
Yeah, anytime you lose assistants, I've said it before, my goals are for my coaches to be able to reach their goals and aspirations as well. It's not just for me. It's not just for our players. So when you get an opportunity for guys to advance their career, you're excited for them. But for me, I look for that as an opportunity to enhance our program, right? And how can we get better? What can we improve? And I thought Will brought a lot of pieces to the puzzle that were going to make us better, moving forward. Being a guy that played quarterback at a high level, but really earned it, came in as a walk-on, earned his keep, and then became a coach. And you look at where he's been and all the success he's had at every stop. You look at the offense that he put together this past year at UTSA and how explosive they were in the passing game, how they were able to establish the run, the variety of personnel groups they were able to use. It's just something that I thought meshed really well with our philosophy here at Oregon and what we want to continue to do on offense. So there's a lot of pieces that aren't going to change, but I thought there were some elements that he could enhance.
It's true maybe for every organization, Coach, but as the leader of an organization, fit is important, and it's not just like the scheme fit with a coach, right? It's how they fit into everything that you want to do, right?
That's right. Yeah, no, that's huge. We're not looking for somebody to come in here and upset the apple cart, right? We want somebody that's pulling the chain in the same direction. We're all working together, and that's what we did. We were able to enhance our group here with great team players that are going to make us better because they're great coaches.
So last year on this day, it was you and a number of new staff members that we were all talking with here in the studio. This year, there's 2 of them. How different was it this year for you just to have a lot of your foundation in place? How different has it been this offseason?
We'll see, right? It's nice to know that you can build on it, and I think continuity within the program is really important. But again, when you have transition, that's also opportunities for growth, right? Sure. And right now, what we're doing in our building is how can we get better? We're not figuring out how we can stay the same. Mm-hmm. So we're watching how can we coach this technique better? Hey, if we're going to call this coverage again, what can we do to make that and execute it at a higher level, right? Those are the things that we're trying to figure out. So continuity is huge, but so is growth. And sometimes transition provides opportunities for growth.
I feel like every week we would talk with you on the Coaches Show, and you always would have something about yourself that you wanted to improve. And that's one thing that I've always, Coach, just really respected about your approach, because they always say, like in broadcasting, for example, if you're not listening to yourself and critiquing yourself, then you're not going to be very good at it. You're not going to get any better. Now that you've been able to think big picture, what are the things you want to get better at for yourself, for your program, all of those different things?
Oh, there's a ton of things that I want to continue to improve at. I don't think I'm going to share every single one of them here, but ultimately, if you're not looking for ways to grow, if you're not trying to figure out how you can do things better, then you're going to become stagnant. And the best coaches I've ever been around are really good self-evaluators, right? And they do a good job of evaluating their program, the performance at their position, right, the performance on their side of the ball, and then their individual performance and what they can improve and do better. And, I'm going to always continue to look for ways to enhance that.
Dan Lanning on National Signing Day. Had to cut out a little bit early. We're pressed for time here on the show, but let's get a break. We'll come back and give you some final thoughts before tonight's tilt in Tucson, and look forward to tomorrow where we'll dive into a lot of women's basketball, an important home game against Colorado. That's coming. It's the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Unused prescription opioid pain medicines can spell trouble. They can spell risk if taken by someone they weren't prescribed for, harm if accidentally taken by a child or pet, or overdose if they're not used as directed. Safely dispose of opioids before they can hurt your family. Find a drug take-back option such as medicine drop boxes. You may find these in your community at local pharmacies or police stations. Visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience a bad reaction. Don't put your health at risk. To learn how to find an online pharmacy that's safe and legal, visit fda.gov/BeSafeRx. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Happy you're with us here on the Oregon Sports Network. Duck Insider brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. Jordan Brenner in the Country Financial Studio. You know, it's a big game tonight. Here's something I'm going to be watching for in this game against Arizona. One thing I think Oregon kind of navigated quite well last week in the home sweep of the Mountain Schools, especially in the Utah game. How Nate Biddle and Mfali Dante can both be productive at the same time. They did a great job of that against Utah. Together, those two put together numbers that sound like this: 18 points, 16 rebounds combined. How are they going to do that against an Arizona team that rebounds the ball better than almost anybody in this conference, that's huge, that has several guys that can do it in the post? That's something I'm going to be watching for tonight. And then on tomorrow's show, it's going to be a lot of women's basketball talk. Two of the best women's basketball teams in the conference coming to Matthew Knight Arena this weekend. Starting off with Colorado, a team that's unranked somehow, but 7-3 in the conference and 16-5 overall. The Buffaloes, they're not ranked soon. I'm just not going to understand. And then Utah, the number 2 team in the conference, number 7 in the country coming. We'll have that full preview. We'll review tonight's game. Thanks to Sophie. Thanks to Scott. Mitchell, back in our studio. Appreciate you. Tomorrow, we'll be back. Go Ducks, everybody.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. With honest conversations that let them know what we expect. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be shared with friends or family. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. We all make choices about alcohol,